Welcome back everybody to the channel. It's me, Raul Alejandro Mendoza, or the Nerdy Chicano. Either way how you say it, it's all good here. And we're back for another video. I know that this one is late. I promised you last week that this would drop on Friday and it didn't happen. And let me tell you why. I had to be at a screening on Thursday for my film Before I Leave, which we ended up winning the Best RGV Actress and the Best RGV Short Film at the South Texas International Film Festival. So really thankful for all that. While on Friday I was on the road back, I got home really late, that I wasn't even on the live show, so it was just impossible for me to have recorded and edited this on time for you all. But we're getting this out for you all this week, and without further ado, y'all, so here it is, finally, my review of Ashes and Diamonds from filmmaker Andre Vaida from the Criterion collection. So, of course, I'm going to go ahead and read to you all the introduction from Criterion that is on the back of this, and tell you all what's included here. Then we're going to look at the packaging and then talk about this film. But, of course, before we get into any of that, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, y'all. When you click that subscribe, make sure you turn on the notification bell so that way you can get notified whenever new content drops on the channel. And, of course, if you want to, it's not mandatory, but it is very much appreciated. If you can go to patreon.com/thenerdcore to sign up for the Patreon and choose a tier, you get a lot of cool stuff like exclusive stuff, or you get some early access to videos just like this one. Of course, without further ado, let's talk about Andre Vaida's Ashes and Diamonds. A milestone of Polish cinema, this electrifying international sensation by Andre Vaida, the final film in his celebrated war trilogy, entwines the story of one man's moral crisis with the fate of a nation. In a small Polish town on the final day of World War II, Maciek, the coolly charismatic Zbigniew, I don't know how to pronounce these names. I'm so sorry, y'all. A fighter in the underground anti-communist resistance movement has orders to assassinate an incoming commissar. But when he meets and falls for a young barmaid, Iwa Grzyecka, he begins to question his commitment to a cause that requires him to risk his life. Ashes and Diamonds' lustrous monochrome cinematography, wreathed in shadows, smoke, and fog, and spectacularly choreographed set pieces blend a breathtaking visual dynamism to this urgent, incendiary vision of a country at a crossroads in its struggle for self-determination. So, included in this film, you get a new 4K digital restoration with uncompressed monaural soundtrack, an audio commentary from 2004 featuring film scholar Annette Insdrov, new video essay by Insdrov on the film's legacy, Andre Vaida on Ashes and Diamonds, a 2005 program featuring director Andre Vaida, second director Janusz Morgenstern, and film critic Jerry Plaziewski. Archival newsreel footage of the making of the film, new English subtitle translations, plus inside the packaging, an essay by film scholar Paul Coates with a new cover illustrated by Daniel Zazarecki, I don't know how to say that, with lettering by Gillian Adel. Of course, this is a Blu-ray upgrade. This film used to be available on DVD, but is now out of print on a box set that included the other two films within his war trilogy. But let's go ahead and look at the packaging next. So, I'm going to try my best here to not get this glared, but this is the front. This is the back. Now it's going to be hard to read, y'all, but here, let me try it. Okay, yeah, there we go. Okay, there we go, y'all. This is the back. This is the spine of Ashes and Diamonds. Let me kind of get there a little bit closer. There we go. This is spine number 285 on the Criterion collection. And of course, you just open this up, y'all, and you go ahead and see that right there. That is the back. That's the inside of our Amaray case, and this is the disc And let's take out this booklet. And here you go, y'all. I'm trying not to glare it, but that's the best I'm gonna get it right now. Let's go ahead and look at this booklet here. Well, more like pamphlet, right? Here, this is the front design of that. Oh my god, it's just terribly glaring. There we go. The back, Ashes and Diamonds, a film by Andre Guaida. And then, of course, you get the, you know, transfer notes, the essay about the transfer. You get production credits and cast credits and all that wonderful stuff that I will look through on another day. Today we're just talking about the film itself, its presentation, and the quality of this disc. I did pick this up during November 2021's Criterion sale, and I finally got the chance to watch it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm excited to finally talk about this one. So this is notorious for being one of the films that have inspired filmmakers such as Martin Scorsese and Andrei Tarkovsky, and because of that, it was one of the reasons why I picked this up on a blind buy during the Criterion sale. I had never seen a film by Andre Guaida. At the time, the only Polish films I saw were actually Possession from Andrzej Żuławski and a short film about love from Krzysztof Kieślowski. Those were the only Polish films I had. Oh, and Cold War from Paweł Pogorzelski. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but those were the only 3 Polish films I had ever seen. So I was interested in doing a dive into Polish cinema. And of course, as you all know, we've been covering the Decalogue here. So I am very much making my way through films from Polish directors on the channel. So all that just gravitated me towards this title from the Criterion Collection. And I bought it on a blind buy, which, you know, I tend to not do that sometimes because you never know how you're gonna like the film. You know, if you love it, cool, you just wasted 20 bucks on it and it was well worth the price. But if you end up hating it, well, you just bought it. So you're gonna have to keep it or sell it to get your money back. But Criterion has yet to fail me with these films, and that's why I'm glad to say that I love this film. I really, really enjoyed this film. Much like films like Larisa Szepitko's The Ascent, which I also own on Blu-ray, I found this to be such an interesting war film that really doesn't glorify the war. It really shows you the dynamic in these soldiers about whether they should finally be able to live life or choose to live by their country and live through the vows that they placed on their country during the war to go ahead and serve and, you know, protect this land, even though they feel that it's been enough. And it's a very big fight that our titular character, Maciek, kind of goes throughout this film, because he's just tied up with either to make the decision to assassinate this person and complete his final mission, or feel like he's already done so much and be able to live the life that he feels like he really wants to live, and that is to go with this woman that he meets, that he obviously has feelings for, but there's something that seems to hold him back. And that's what I appreciate a lot about this film. It shows you that inner conflict that a lot of these films that usually, and I hate to sound like a broken record here, but in the United States, you don't get a lot of this from films, from war films. You know, stuff like Apocalypse Now do show it perfectly, but there is the mainstream films that come up that are war films that don't really show this side, that really don't show that inner conflict within the soldier, within the Marine, and how they have to deal with that, especially when the war is supposed to be over. This is the last day of World War II, and yet he still has to concentrate on this mission. A day when he's supposed to feel like the weight has been taken off his shoulder. Andrei kind of pictures it to say that even when this war is done, he's gonna have a lot that he has to deal with, and he has to find a way to cope with that. The more that we could progress in Maciek's story, and the more that we figure out how intertwined a lot of this is and how difficult it is for him to make his decision, and so at the end we get a look into what his decision was, and obviously he didn't get to leave with the woman that he fell in love with, and he dies in agony making his final decision when he gets killed by the Polish People's Army. And I've got to say that when it comes to the narrative, Andrzej Wajda has a near perfect way of encapsulating all that. I did feel that in the second act, the draggy pace really did feel itself wearing me out, whereas I felt that other films kind of like Come and See, they have a longer runtime than this, are able to perfectly pace itself. Whereas in here, I had a really big struggle in the second act, but once you get to that third act, things really start to come together, and you really do feel the strengths of this movie start to show. I love the cinematography. It's black and white, rich contrast also are a big plus here, and this film looks great. It was shot great. I love the score, the production design, and the costumes that they're using. I think it all makes for an interesting atmosphere within this film. There's many frames within this movie that I'm never gonna forget, especially one with this man who is rolling up the flag, the Polish flag, where there's like a lot of fog coming out of the door, and it's an incredible shot that I have yet to take out of my mind. And I've got to say that when it comes to that aspect, this is just a perfectly shot film. You could not ask for a better visual presentation and visual style. This just looks great, and it was done well, but the only thing that kind of keeps me from giving it that perfect score is just that the pacing is really off, and some of the acting is off as well. But ultimately, I loved Ashes and Diamonds, and I've got to say that it is definitely one of the films that you want to check out from the Criterion Collection. When it comes to this November sale that we have upcoming November sale, make sure you pick this up because it is a really good one. Now, the restoration is incredible. I watched this on my usual setup, my Panasonic 4K player, my TCL 4K TV, so this is upscaled, and I've got to say, audio and video sound and look amazing on this restoration. I was amazed at what they were able to do with this film because I've never seen this film before, but I did see clips. I have seen what this movie used to look like, and it was in dire need of a restoration. And the lab just put so much work into this to bring out these rich contrast and black and white levels out of this film, and they just present to you an incredible picture. And that mononeural soundtrack sounds fantastic as well on my TV. I couldn't stop looking at the screen even when that narrative was kind of slowed down and I was having a hard time following it. I was still gushing over the visuals and the audio of this film because they just did such a great job at restoring this and giving us a great quality, but also making sure that we're reminded that this is a film from the 50s. And I just got to say, this is like one of the prime examples when Criterion knows exactly what it's putting out, because restorations, preservation, and all that wonderful stuff that we talk about on this channel, this is the example. You bring a film that had a hard presentation before, you restore it, and it finds new life again, and you're able to own it physically, and you're able to be part of that new life. And I love that about this film. I just was amazed by the visual and audio components here. It's definitely one of my favorite releases of last year from Criterion, and it's a recommendation nonetheless for November's 50% off sale at Barnes & Nobles. But enough of spewing my love for Criterion. We have enough of that on this channel, obviously. We have so many Criterion reviews here, and I am happy to do these Criterion reviews. But you all spoke on Twitter. You want a little more different variety of reviews here. So next week we're gonna take a look at an Arrow video title in my collection, and then we're gonna look at some other stuff, and we're gonna take a little bit of a break from Criterion for now. But nonetheless, we'll return with some new Criterion reviews, maybe in the end of October, or maybe come November for our November sale. But we're going to take a little bit of a break from Criterion, and our next review is going to be a Arrow video title, and I'm really excited for that. So make sure you check that out on Friday. And of course, to keep up to date with me on all things social media, make sure you follow me at the Nerdy Chicano on Twitter, Instagram, Serialized, Letterboxd, and Twitch. Make sure you check out all the wonderful stuff that I do on the Nerdcore by checking out thenerdcore.com and our YouTube and Twitch channels at the Nerdcore. That is the Nerdcore, CORPS. Make sure you check out all that wonderful stuff. We're covering international films so far in September, and in October we're doing our horror month that we do every year. So go ahead and check that out by checking out those links and channels, and everything is always going to be in the video description below. So check that out and show us some love over on Nerdcore. But of course, next week we're going to be looking at an Arrow video title, but in the meantime, my wonderful cinephiles and renowned scholars celebrate the love of cinema today, tomorrow, and every day after. Catch you all in the next one, guys.